And again, this thing that, oh, well, they're with their backups. They did the same thing.
refused to be that guy you claim to be. It's been like that throughout history, so I raise a glass come to the drink till you're taking all. I can tell I would have got in the right man walk into my bar here in hell. Hello there, been a while since I served you up the way the brain moved to you. But now you come to me for advice or to drown your sorrow. What you want to know, I don't want to show. Head like doctor, can you help me explain now the mess he's in? You can do the phone right now. This is one nasty last on a compound. Can you explain to him his most evil scenes?
You let us food into the slime. Sounds so cool.
Well, fuck, guess that leaves me to explain away the truth that I run upon the day my fate threw me so far away. Gods are going up belief if they fail to follow through. Near a belch if you waste away before break of day. So goodbye is what I will say as you're leaving. One way or another you'll leave my world. Whether it be as a true God or a rocking cross, we'll see. Just take their advice, it will set you free. Which is in the brewery, what advice do you have for him?
So just hope it busy to a house of close opportunity.
Let them hold you man since you've known his truth since way when.
He walk blessings and you like the one for me.
Fuck you all, guess I'll do it all by myself. Your truth has been built on a shelf, girded by a lonely half-elf. Be true to who you are, fear is out, believe not faith. Remember who you are, for your true name is play. If you deny, not gonna try ever truly to survive. If you wish to drink, spend some time away, I would be to stop you. If you wish to live, you must have my spirit now, or else you never return. Here in hell you burn. You once refused to be that what you truly be. It's been like that throughout history, so I was glad come to be drink to your health ago. I can tell why we're the bar. There right might walk into this bar sent from hell. But the realms was the motto of your true self. Your truth has been built on a shelf, guarded by a lonely half-elf. Be true to who you are, fear is all, believe not faith. Remember who you are, for your true name is plain. Well, you're still alive, looks like you survived. Leave me to my life, you'll go so far. Get the fuck out of my heart.
Sorry about that. With that, the guest of honor has arrived. Ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between, everyone exempt, and floating violently between the extremes, like myself, surprisingly. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm gonna stop my music real quick. As you can see, hi, I am digital. That is going to be fun. Anyway, I had a lot of issues trying to overlay over PlayStation 4 footage. No surprise. Okay, maybe a little bit of surprise. But here I am, finally. Hi again. So, yeah. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm actually just going to be here chatting and doing reaction videos and watching how my limited knowledge of VTubing works with reactions. Specifically, I'm going to be reacting to... Okay, fine, it's less of a reaction and more of a political rant. I will acknowledge this. But I'm reacting to the death toll. The song that was just about to play is called Hey Plague Doctors, and I wrote it back in June. I'm going to have to do an updated version or a follow-up song, for my February release album. And this is me doing research for it, so. Okay. Wait, is it in the cases overview? Oh, there it is. So, in the United States, we're at 246K. Yeah. Okay, so that wasn't what I was after. 675,000 in the US over 3 years. So that's oof. That's a real sobering oof. Oof, oof, oof. Okay, the Galveston typhoon. Let's go ahead and say 12,000. Max it out, make coronavirus look a little bit less bad. Let's see, what other... Oh, right, it is Trans Awareness Week. I probably should do something for that, shouldn't I? Non-binary, by the way. Hi again. But yeah, I know I should do something for it, but I'm not sure. So I already mentioned 9/11, the Galveston typhoon in the last run. I'm actually going to incorporate the Spanish flu this time. Benghazi is always going to be in the bridge when I do a COVID-19 song because the entire thing. Okay. It's 4 deaths. To point out the hypocrisy of the Republican Party and all that, like every time I name COVID-19 and call people out on their hypocrisy, I bring up Benghazi. I've only done it once. Like, direct hypocrisy, I always bring Benghazi into it because, like, impact. Like, there were 2 years worth of investigations into the mishandling of Benghazi, over 4 Americans dying, and take a look right here. Yes, that's just Illinois. That's just the state I live in, right? This is the United States as a whole. Yeah? Yeah? You think there should be some investigations into the mishandling of this pandemic? Yeah. Yeah, there should be. If there were 2 years worth of investigations over 4 Americans, there should be at least a year's worth of investigations. I know it's disproportionate, but it's 246K and change dead. It's like, ugh. I mean, so far it looks like yesterday's numbers are down for Illinois just a little bit. I mean, there were still 72 new cases, but looks like there were not as many deaths in Illinois yesterday, thankfully. Guaranteed recovered. I'm glad they removed that. You know why? Because it's a very, very simple reason. It is a very, very simple reason, in fact. So simple, I think people could get it. It's not possible to fully recover. It is a pre-existing condition now. If you had COVID, you are more likely to have early onset Alzheimer's. You are now more likely to also have permanent lung damage and heart damage. All three at once. I'm not even joking. So, the mishandling of this pandemic, it's more than just the 4 Americans died in an attack. It's 246,000 died, and at least 10 million more are now permanently disabled. It might not be a disability that keeps them from working necessarily, but it's bad. Like, really bad. So yeah, investigations. I'm gonna see if this thing has a clap reaction, because clap. Nope. Okay. So, hi everyone. So that was me doing research. As you can see, I have a lot to think about, because the COVID-19 multiplier on the severity of things, yeah, no shit. So, got my research for that out of the way. That's going to take another month to write. Like, it's literally the last song, and I've got the song written, but the lyrics, like, I can't finish the lyrics until closer to release date, so it doesn't wind up outdated as much, yeah? Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into what I'm actually wanting to do today. I don't know. Any suggestions? I've got one viewer, maybe. If you got any suggestions, let me know in chat. I'm watching it now. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and do something crazy. I am gonna do a reaction video. I just don't know what to, yeah? Try not to laugh compilations. How about that? I will warn you, my joy animation is absolutely ridiculous. So let's go ahead.
Now just relax.
Hi.
There, that should make the trip a little easier.
Okay.
Now just
I already
relax.
failed.
Hi.
There, that should make the trip a little easier on him.
I already failed. Wow.
ヶ月もどこ行ってたの私はい会いたかったねえスコちゃんねえスコちゃんじゃあ剥いてあげるはーいどうぞ
進展がないからだろう。痛いです。神崎さんいたのか。
店長ってそうだったんだ。
おい、その手つきやめろ。
ねずこちゃん、ねずこちゃん。
おい、邪魔すんじゃねえよ。その子は俺と結婚するんだ。俺のことが好きなんだからな。だからうるさいって。
Oh, God. Oh, that's bad.
巨人たちが今回はどんな巨人に会えるかな。貴公子なんかいたりしたらもう
貴公子ならここに行ってくれるが。
Oh, God. God.
なんであんなところで喧嘩してたの。
Oh, I remember this. Damn.
ねえ、彼氏が何したかは知らないけどね。血は喧嘩と文化だと思われてんだよ。別れ話とかならちゃんとお互い話し合ってもっと穏やかに。絶対木島はあそこでかいって。手がでかいとあそこもでかいって言うじゃん。触りたいなら触っていいよ。
大きいです。
樺倉さんが何とかするべきですよ。
ああ、ちょっと今日の酔い方は良くねえな。行ってみちゃう。
やめなさい。
キノコさんにはたかれた。
Wow.
ひでえ荒れ方だ。
久しく使われてなかったからな。中も埃だらけだろ。それは重大な問題だ。早急に取り掛かれぞ。
Oh, right. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look.
How long are you gonna hold my hand?
Julie dead and buried.
That's so creepy. グガランナだよ。
女神イシュタルの従えるシュメル最大の真珠。
いつもの貴様なら甲高い笑い声とともに自分の力でもないグガランナを自慢しきっていたはずだがは
グガランナ。グガランナ。グガランナ。あ、それグガランナ。
ないの落としたの。
このバカ女神が何のために貴様をスカウトしたと思っている。
Aww. Poor her. It just turned sad. Okay. Okay. No, 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 no. No, no, no. I'm not doing anything in even remote connection to ghost stories unless I'm doing a harsh critique of 90s cringe comedy. Like, seriously, no. Just. But I remember when I was more immature and, well, evil. Yeah, like, I'll acknowledge I was bad. Yeah, like, really bad. Anyway, I really liked it, but I realize now that it's quite literally cringe. Alright. So, let's see if we can survive part 2. Oh god! He deserved it.
これは僕も全力を出さないとダメか。
Hi, Lucifer.
ごめん。 あ、ごめん。
そんな胸突き出したら当たるぞ。それが普通よ。
No! Save the dolphin!
It was at this moment that Gavin knew. He fucked up.
どういて。
Okay, so this one actually is adding stuff into it.
なんか駅までの道聞かれたっぽいんだけど。
Okay. That ruined the immersion of the try not to laugh challenge. Like, they added an additional, like, clip to it by freezing it. Like, I was like, no, save the dolphin! That just ruined it. What the heck? Okay. Oh no. Am I seeing this right? Don't tell me that. Oh, gods. I've got to watch this now? Like, no, I've got to. Like, I've got to. Like, it's compulsory. It's, like, mandatory for me to watch this now. I just have to go ahead and update my stream once it will let me touch the button. There. Okay. Okay. Go ahead and add a stream marker here. Oh, God. Reacting to Legal Eagle. On squatters' rights. Oh. Gods. Why? Okay.
Thanks to Mac Weldon for keeping Legal Eagle in the air and helping me look fly. Well, because this is clearly the darkest timeline in the past, and now I must answer the question, what if the president refuses to leave the White House?
Wait. Back up. Is he VRing a beard? Is he VRing a beard? He's VRing a beard with an Instagram filter. Oh gods, why? Oh, why? Like I know he does a gimmick to try to help viewership, but it's like, oh no.
Because this is clearly the darkest timeline many have asked, and now I must answer the question, what if the president refuses to leave the White House?
You'll never keep me alive, coppers.
Get him! Legal Eagles, it's time to think like a lawyer.
Oh, good. His beard is back to normal.
As I discussed in a recent video, Joe Biden is now the clear winner of the 2020 election, and Donald Trump's lawsuits are not going to be enough to change that result. After it looked obvious that President Trump could not get enough votes to be reelected, the media started asking whether President Trump would make a concession speech. President Trump did not win.
Oh, he did worse. He conceded on Twitter and then immediately unconceded. Like within 5 minutes. And then like an hour later, he rephrased the first tweet. But the first tweet out of that 3 tweets, it's like, what the heck? What the heck, Mr. President? I mean, yeah, I knew you were crazy and I knew you were senile, but damn. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Win enough votes to win the election, but he has refused to concede his loss. And although no president has ever refused to leave office, other elected officials in the U.S. have thrown tantrums after losing an election. In 1874, Texas Governor Edmund Davis locked himself in the basement of the state capitol building after losing to Richard Koch.
And had Coca-Cola been invented, he probably would have, well, barricaded himself in with a crap ton of Coke. That did not sound right. Just to spite him. It's like, no.
Like Trump, Davis claimed that there had been voter fraud, and the state Supreme Court, with 3 judges appointed by Davis, ruled in his favor. But Koch was still inaugurated. Koch then arrived at the state capitol with But Davis appealed to fellow Republican President Ulysses S. Grant for federal troops, but Grant refused. Davis left 3 days later. In 1946, there was a standoff in Georgia known as the Three Governors Crisis, after the governor-elect died before taking office. The outgoing governor thought he had a right to stay, the son of the governor-elect thought he should inherit the office, and the lieutenant governor-elect believed that he was now governor. Bizarrely, the state assembly voted for the son to inherit the office. The 2 other men were still in the crisis ended when the governor-elect's son changed the locks. But if that happens this year, I'll finally get to collaborate with the lock-picking lawyer. Now,
Wait. Collaborating with the lock-picking lawyer? The lock-picking lawyer exists? Is that literal? Lock-picking lawyer. Oh God! Aims to educate consumers about the weaknesses and defects in security devices so they can make better security decisions. Ooh! Ouch! Ouch! Okay, that actually is a burn. Oh!
Trump hasn't locked himself in the bathroom yet, but he is refusing to concede that he lost. Normally, the loser would have given a public concession speech by now. That's what Jimmy Carter did when Ronald Reagan defeated him in 1980, and what George H.W. Bush did in 1992 when he lost his re-election bid to Bill Clinton. But what is a concession speech? Well, it's a public acknowledgement by the loser of the presidential race that he or she has lost the election. This is not a legal requirement, but it is an important norm that ensures the peaceful transfer of power, especially since the incumbent commands, the whole military until the next president takes office. The concession speech generally allows the rest of the steps required to confirm the election results to move forward. After the loser concedes, lots of things happen behind the scenes. This triggers the release of millions of federal dollars to the transition team, along with access to office space and necessary equipment like computers and money. Under the 2015 Presidential Transitions Improvement Act, which amended the 1963 Presidential Transition Act, the president must establish a White House coordinating committee and council of agency transition directors 6 months prior to the election.
You did catch that, right? It's a part of the president's legal duty. If he doesn't do it, he's not doing his job. And he should have done that 6 months before the election. Just in case he lost. Oof. 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 Just oof.
Typically, the administrator of the General Services Administration, or GSA, signs a letter when the winner of the race is apparent. This acts as the federal government's formal declaration that the presidential race is over and a winner has emerged. Although every agency, including the GSA, has detailed transition plans as required by law, the Washington Post has reported that the plans won't move forward until a winner is declared by the GSA. This could mean a number of different things, that the transition won't happen until Trump gives up, or that everyone is waiting for the Supreme Court to declare a winner.
Oh, God.
In his guidance in April on how agencies should be preparing, the Office of Management and Budget noted that the committee would meet on May 27th. However, the GSA refused to publish the full minutes of this meeting. We now know that
Yeah.
the President Trump-appointed administrator of the General Services Administration is refusing to sign a letter that immediately allows the transfer of power from one administration to the next. When the Washington Post...
In other words, the transition can't officially begin until she signs off on it. Fuck. Okay.
Why, her spokesperson said, quote, "An ascertainment has not yet been made, and its administrator will continue to abide by and fulfill all requirements under the law."
Good God.
Censoring the transition meeting notes and refusing to acknowledge the reality of President Trump's loss. What are those tell us? At a minimum, the Trump team has no intention of cooperating with peaceful transition of power. President Trump and members of his cabinet have hinted that they are not going to comply with a peaceful transition. In particular, Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, saying that
there will be a smooth transition to the second Trump administration.
Yeah, that happened.
Are actually higher than one. The bipartisan 9/11 Commission found that the delayed transition in 2000 between the Clinton and Bush administrations actually made the 9/11 attacks more likely because it hampered the incoming W. Bush administration from focusing on the looming al-Qaeda threat from day one. The delayed transition in 2020 might undermine efforts to distribute the COVID-19 vaccine. As the U.S. sets positive coronavirus tests,
yeah, world's worst timing.
Stop meeting, and its chair, Mike Pence, is trying to go on vacation. But
yeah, that's also happening.
That a nefarious squatting president could do on the way out. It's not going to show this video, but those steps could include firing not only political appointees who the president doesn't like, but also career staff to just gum up the works. We've seen that already by President Trump firing Defense Secretary Mike Esper and the potential firings of FBI Director Chris Wray and CIA Director Jeronis. The president has also named Michael Ellis as NSA General Counsel in months. And you'll remember that name if you've watched my video on a politically motivated review of John Bolton's book. Ellis was the political operative who took a hatchet to it and prevented it.
Seriously?
This could be chaos. Install true believers to take affirmative action benefiting President Trump. The president could pardon everyone in his orbit, his friends, his co-conspirators, and maybe even himself. And that's investigations themselves. As National Security Analyst Ashe Rangappa points out, DOJ could induce the Office of Legal Counsel to adopt all kinds of formal positions to justify the president's prior acts. And to the extent there are actually open investigations into personally and his family, the Department of Justice could paper over those files, adding memos that justify closing of the cases or saying that the cases were never brought into court in the first place. Those investigatory files. And then, of course, there are the files themselves. While records that have administrative, historical, informational, or evidentiary value under the Presidential Records Act is usually illegal, it's probably a good idea to keep gray smoke coming out of the White House chimneys in the coming days.
Yeah.
That is during the transitional period. Trump remains in denial about the election and continues barking orders at the military and holds on to the football. Well, Joe Biden was scheduled to swear in as president at noon on January 2021. So, as of that date, what happens if President Trump is still throwing a tantrum and won't leave? What if he is on the White House grounds? Well, let's start with the Secret Service. The president loses all constitutional authority when his term ends on January 2021. At this time, he no longer commands the armed forces or the Secret Service. Both of those entities will be commanded by Joe Biden. When President Biden arrives at the White House after his inauguration, he'll be accompanied by moving vans and the U.S. Secret Service. The Secret Service is a law enforcement agency within the Department of Homeland Security. The Secret Service has two roles. They investigate counterfeiting and other federal crimes, and they protect national leaders and their families as well as foreign dignitaries. But what happens if a president the Secret Service is sworn to protect decides that he's still president and won't leave the White House grounds? Under the Former Presidents Act, the Secret Service provides lifetime protection to former presidents and their families. President Trump will be assigned a Secret Service protection unit that takes over after he's no longer president. But that doesn't mean that President Trump has legal authority over his post-presidential team. The Secret Service is led by a director. The current director is James Murray. The director is appointed by and serves at the pleasure of the president and is not subject to Senate confirmation. When Biden becomes president, Murray reports to Biden and not Trump. If it came down to a battle between President Biden's protective team versus Trump's protective team, well, it won't. Because President Biden and Director Murray would order former President Trump's security detail to stand down. Could some members of the Secret Service decide to disobey Biden's orders and fight for Trump? Theoretically, but they'd be committing a felony. Section 3056D of Title 18 prohibits knowingly and willfully obstructing, resisting, or interfering with a federal law enforcement agent who is engaged in protective functions. And if former President Trump's security detail was prosecuted under 18 U.S.C. 3056, it's not even necessary to show that Trump's guys used force against federal law enforcement agents. Even blocking the entry to the White House grounds or the White House doors is considered obstruction or resistance. And of course, the law does authorize Secret Service agents to arrest anyone engaging in activity which could nullify or reduce the effectiveness of security precautions taken by the Secret Service. That means if former President Trump's Secret Service team locks the doors to the Oval Office or bathroom, they could be arrested and the government doesn't even need to prove that this interference was forcible or aggressive. It's also a felony under 18 U.S.C. 111 to forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, or interfere with federal law enforcement officers, including Secret Service agents, in the performance of their duties. People who work for Secret Service are well versed in these laws, and many of them have served for decades. It's highly unlikely that large numbers of them would turn the White House into the Alamo. And there are also other Secret Service support units that could be called on to help oust a squatting former President Trump. The Secret Service's Uniform Division protects facilities and venues secured for U.S. Secret Service protectees, including the White House complex and the Vice President's residence at the Naval Observatory. These are probably the people who would be called on to repel any threats to the White House or the Vice President's residence. So if President Trump asked the Proud Boys to no longer stand by, but to actually engage, these are probably the people that would act immediately.
I would like to point out, he's already told them to engage on certain things. And their more militaristic wing is getting caught repeatedly committing crimes that they believe that he ordered them to do. Yeah, that's something.
And the Secret Service also has some specialized units which could be called on allies. The Emergency Response Team provides a coordinated tactical response for the White House and other political facilities. The Sniper Team uses observation, sighting equipment, and high-performance weapons to provide a secure environment for protectees. And if a Trump militia were on the scene, those special units would coordinate a response. And then there's also the Motorcade Support Unit, providing motorcycle tactical support for official movements of motorcades. So President Biden would be safely escorted to the White House premises, even if an army of lifted Ford F-250 trucks with giant oversized flags showed up to block President Biden's advance. And frankly, I wouldn't mess around with the Secret Service. They have plenty of firepower to back it up. Agents and officers use the FMP-97 machine gun, the 9mm HK-5, a 12-gauge Remington shotgun, and a 5.56 SR-16 QCB rifle. They also have plenty of non-lethal options as well, like a 16-inch expandable baton and also pepper spray. Now, to be clear, none of this is going to happen. The worst-case scenario is that a President Biden would simply kindly ask former President Trump to leave. I'm sure that President Trump will have plenty to do and plenty of places to go when his term expires. But if push came to shove, the Secret Service would be capable of perp-walking former President Trump out and dumping him onto Pennsylvania Avenue, if not straight into prison. But there is one last wrinkle, because the Secret Service are not the only guys with guns in the White House. What about the military? Well, there's been lots of speculation about whether Donald Trump could use the military to keep himself in power. This isn't likely. The military follows a chain of command, and when Joe Biden is sworn in, he will be the commander-in-chief and President Trump loses all authority. If President Trump makes any kind of order after noon on January 20th, 2021, the military will not follow those orders. And it's also worth noting that America has laws mandating political neutrality by members of the military. The military is not supposed to dabble in domestic affairs. The Uniform Code of Military Justice, or UCMJ, is the code of conduct applicable to members of the armed forces and certain other individuals closely associated with the armed forces. The UCMJ sets forth procedures for trials by courts martial and other disciplinary actions to enforce these laws. Now, it's important to note that the UCMJ does not apply to the president, but Article 88 of the UCMJ does make it a crime for any officer in the armed forces to, quote, use contemptuous words against officials of any branch of the U.S. government or any state government. The officer cannot make any derogatory statements against the U.S. president, and if a person does, he or she could be court-martialed. Yes, this is an impingement on the officer's First Amendment rights, but it's something that they knowingly give up when they join the military. Article 88 is one of many reasons you don't see active duty military officers critiquing Donald Trump. They are sworn to uphold political neutrality. However, what if they're called upon by a president to do something that's arguably illegal, or given orders by the president? Well, the military is not supposed to obey illegal, unconstitutional orders. Obviously, we hope we don't ever get to a point where military officers have to decide whether the orders are illegal or not. It's up to military leadership to ensure that all presidential orders are lawful. But if Joe Biden is president, then he is the commander-in-chief. If President Trump tries to order the military to do anything, then that is an illegal order. And when it comes to presidents gone wild, we have one close historical example to go by. When Nixon's time was running out back in 1974, many feared that he would lean on his good friend who just happened to be the commandant of the Marine Corps. Now, the story is that Secretary of Defense James Schlesinger was so worried about Nixon issuing illegal orders that he told the Joint Chiefs of Staff not to implement any direct orders from President Nixon that was not relayed through Schlesinger. Now, we don't know if this story is historically accurate. Historians disagree about what actually happened. But it does show that military leadership have given lots of thought to what might happen if a president started a meltdown. And in fact, Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said that the military would not be involved in moderating or intervening any disputes.
We do not take an oath to an individual. No, we do not take an oath to a country, a tribe, or a religion. We take an oath to the Constitution.
In his view, it's Congress's job to figure out what's happening and prevent it, not the military's. Milley is correct that the Constitution is silent on this exact scenario. However, he's probably already thought about what would happen if President Trump wanted to remain in power. In August, 2 retired Army officers wrote an open letter to Milley stating that if Trump is holed up in the White House with armed supporters inside, the military must defend the rightful president. Stating, quote, "In the constitutional crisis described above, your duty is to give unambiguous orders directing U.S. military forces to support the constitutional transfer of power. Should you remain silent, you will be complicit in a coup d'etat. You were rightly criticized for your prior active complicity in the president's use of force against peaceful protesters in Lafayette Square. Your passive complicity in an extra-legal seizure of political power would be far worse." But whether it's the military or the Secret Service, on January 20th, Donald Trump doesn't need to go home, but he can't stay here. And as Joe Biden put it, the United States government is perfectly capable of escorting trespassers out of the White House.
Give me a sec,
but
folks.
If President Trump does stay past noon on
Sorry about that, folks. My dogs were chasing the mailman, and I had to stop them.
On January 20th, he'll be trading his very poor material suits and ties for a matching orange jumpsuit. In fact, speaking of ditching the city,
Oh no.
now that the election is over, I'm getting out of here in one of Mac Weldon's super comfortable polos. Oh wait, I can't leave it. All right. Inside wearing one of their warm V-neck sweaters and slim cut chinos instead.
Okay.
Not in court or on a Zoom.
But yeah, seriously, you should check out this channel. It is legal. They've got way more subscribers than I do, but yeah, I rely on them for a lot of how to interpret political news when it comes to the law. I then double check everything usually, but this is stuff I've already researched myself, so I didn't really have to. Always remember whenever you're on YouTube to like, comment, and share. Or like, comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed. And make sure you've got the notification bell. Okay, so... well done. Comment. So, that's done. Let's go ahead and close that. Like, I am trying to figure out exactly what the fuck I'm gonna watch next. I mean, there's a video about AOC from the Rational National I could watch. But it's, again, something I already know. Oh no. No. But yes, but at the same time, it's like, oh no, they're not going to be able to cover it during the main story. It's like, oh no. Okay. I'm gonna back this up. I'm actually going to go ahead and tweet John. Let him know I'm going to do this. Okay. At John Idarola. I'm going to start the pre-show from the beginning. And record, not record, and stream, live stream, my reaction to it. Love the title you picked, by the way. But yeah, my dogs are kind of grounded until... Love the title you picked, BTW. Tweet. Okay, so I'm still online, yeah? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and reload this.
If you manage a team, you have to be on Monday.com. Monday.com is a platform to track.
I may be a small independent business owner, but I am the only employee. It sucks. Mostly because it means I can't focus on any one thing. I have to do everything myself, including ads. And it sounds like the dogs just got into the trash, so now they're grounded for being inside by going back outside. Give me a moment. Okay, I'm back. Let's get this started.
Good morning, Dragon Squad, and welcome to the show before the show. Starting a little late, obviously. We've got about 30 minutes, I think, until the damage report starts. We're joined as I am on Mondays by Francesca Fiorentini. And the news is not always conducive to laughter. On Mondays, I think it's going to be, because obviously I'm a jokester. We've got some coming up on the show. But there was so much news that it wouldn't all fit on the show. So I've had like
Whoa, 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 whoa.
that are all hilarious.
So, yes, please subscribe to them. And also to the Young Turks. Remember to like, share, notification bell them. They are an amazing team of journalists. My parents think they're crocs, but that's only because they report the left accurately, and that means they criticize centrist libs when centrist libs screw up. So, yeah. My parents don't like them because, well, they're not harsh enough on the Democrats. Well, it's because all of the Republicans suck. And a good chunk of the Democrats suck too, but there are good Democrats, and they cover the good Democrats more than they cover the bad ones.
In their own right. The first is hilarious, but hilariously serious. It is an important one, and that is that, as we've been going about our days and trying to figure out when Trump is going to concede and his legal case going forward, we'll give you updates on those on the show. They also have those recounts. So, of course, in multiple states, recounts were either requested or mandated, and as we said from the very beginning, while, these legal challenges are absolutely nonsense, if you were below the threshold for a recount, you get to have a recount. There's nothing wrong with that. It's probably a big waste of our time, and our money, these recounts basically never make much of a difference. And so, what do you know, as we're getting towards the end of several of them, that is bearing out. And so, in one state where Trump appears to have this backup plan, the recount will switch the votes from, as we've punched a million times, not enough to actually make it, but he thought, hey, Georgia, pretty close, 15,000 odd votes, that's 10 times closer than Michigan, another state that he says that he won. So, 15,000 votes, come on, recount, flip them for me. Well, we can't say for sure whether it will or not, because the recount is continuing. It won't be done until the 20th of November, but we do have an update on how it's going. And so, as of late yesterday, 48 of the state's 159 counties, so close to 1 in 3, we're already done with the recount. So you still got 2/3. We have an idea of what it's looking like. And what does it look like? Well, 4 counties have no changes whatsoever. Changed, which is less than 1 in 10 of those they've counted already. Others have registered changes in the vote count of, oh my god, almost 5 votes in some cases. Game changer. The script has been flipped. Donald Trump might be the winner. Because, if this continues, potentially, you could have something like 100 votes changed by the end. We didn't actually say which they changed for. I honestly don't know, but it doesn't say that they changed in Trump's favor. It is possible that after all of this statewide hand recount of 5 million ballots, that Donald Trump could lose by slightly more than he did before. But at least he spent some time and a lot of people's effort and probably quite a bit of money, probably millions of dollars, will go into this recount. And in the end, it's going to change a few votes, maybe a few, but he's not going to win in Georgia. And even if he won in Georgia, it wouldn't result in him actually winning the election. America is equal parts horrifying, depressing, and a massive waste of time. That's basically what our country is at this point. As Carol Shea says in the chat, everyone who's already here, thank you for joining us for this little show. It's one of my favorite parts of the day, actually, because it's just us.
that's the sort of exciting I was thinking, you know, transitioning into a little bit of better times as a country. It's been very dark, and the last chapter of this period of American history was particularly dark. And there is something particularly odd about reporting the news every day from like a big studio that has nobody in it. Like John Oliver has his Blank White Void, which is its own form of depressing, it's purgatory, all of that. But mine has a very post-apocalyptic sort of feel to it. It really does feel like zombies break down the doors and eat my brains live on YouTube. And imagine if you told me way back in 2007, 2006, when I was watching The Young Turks, and I was years away from ever doing the show, you told me, oh, by the way, the show that you like, someday you're going to be on it, and you're going to be reporting from an awesome studio. But no, don't get your hopes up. You'll be there. And by the way, Donald Trump will be president, and people will be dying all around you needlessly. Been a weird one. Wouldn't have bought that. Anyway, so the Georgia recount, his battle for that state is not going well. I don't have a.
Okay, so yeah, Trump's plan's going awry. It's kind of what I expected.
Updated counts on multiple recounts are happening. I have no reason to believe that they would be any more likely to flip the result, let alone flip it even slightly in Trump's favor than the Georgia one is. But again, we'll have the finalized numbers for Georgia in just a couple of days. So we do have that to look forward to. In other Georgia news, though, of course, we do have those two, the sort of runoff elections for Senate that are going through. And as of right now, you know, we could have had a couple of debates, right? I mean, after all, this is like a big choice, not only for Georgia, obviously significant there, but also for the future of the Senate. So who you get in these races, like whether you get Perdue or Ossoff, I mean, it doesn't get much more important than that. And so, no, we're not going to actually get any more debates. People are going to have to go candidates. I mean, we're going to sort of have a debate. John Ossoff is going to be at the debate, but an empty podium is going to be placed for David Perdue. Because Perdue is cucked on out of the room. He's not going to be doing it. He's not going to go there because, I mean, what? Because he's a strong man. He's not going to do the debate because he's too alpha to fit in. His broad shoulders. I mean, he just would look ridiculous. There's no podium big enough that he wouldn't look obscenely, freakishly big and muscular and connected. That's probably what it is. It's probably that. It's probably not that he's terrified of looking ridiculous. Went viral when John Ossoff kicked his ass at the last.
Yeah.
Bring back real men. That's what I would say. Because I'm a fan of Candace Owens, and I don't like that men are so wussy and pathetic in the West. They need to be strong. Like David Perdue. You know how strong he is? How fast and athletic? When he finds out there's going to be debate, he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole Western idea of masculinity is fucked. It just is. It's absolutely horrible, and it's not that masculinity is a bad thing. It's just the Western ideas of what masculinity is and isn't are entirely flipped. Like, masculinity. What is it? It's an amorphous blah. It's always been that. Trying to define it is what causes it to wind up going all. And when someone tries to define masculinity, of course, the people who are pro-patriarchy immediately then proceed to worship and idolize whatever that ideal of masculinity is. Cough, Republicans, cough. So, yeah, no. Their ideal of masculinity winds up turning out to be absolutely nothing like they worshipped or believed, because they really didn't believe in that shite. Like, at all. Like, ever.
You can't even see him. He's like a ninja. What's more manly than that, America? I ask you.
What's more manly than running away from a competition is admitting you were wrong, saying you were sorry, and working to fix the problem, none of which any of the Republicans do. So,
Bring back real men. The fuck out of here with that. Anyway, Super Chats. Don says, plus that skull in the skeleton closet doesn't make me feel any better. There's actually a skull up there. Here's a question. How much does the person who decorated this studio for Halloween love Halloween that they decorated a studio that nobody's in? It's amazing when you think about it, and somebody went to all the trouble. I actually don't know who. Ryan says, John, don't look behind you. It's a herd of Trump zombies helping you eat your will to live. I am worried about that, and I've lost much of my will to live. So we're going to have sort of a debate. Here's the thing, Purdue. I know, you're terrified. I've been scared before. I understand it. Like, walking willingly, like, gangplank when, you know that you might end up getting owned. That's scary. But here's the thing. You're gonna get owned anyway, man. He's still gonna be talking about you, but now you can't even, like, have the chance of responding.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. So, I don't know with Loeffler and Warnock. I don't know if there's gonna be one there. Hopefully there will. She certainly has a lot of areas to attack. But as of right now, in the Purdue-Ossoff race, there's not going to be a debate. Obi-Wan Kenobi says, that was epic. Action Idarola. Zoom. Love it, man. Thank you. Stranger Things, my class is Zoomer. Every party needs one. So thank you, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I didn't know that you often watched on YouTube. In any event, I have one little bit of extra news. A little bit of fun. I really wanted to fit this on the main show, or on the main TDR show, but there's not quite enough time. So I'm still, as I assume many of you are, like processing the election results, processing what went right, what went wrong.
Everyone's doing that, John. Don't doubt yourself. You're doing great. Also, what the fuck, America? I mean, I knew you were fucked up, but I didn't realize how fucked up until half of you, after seeing what Trump was capable of, still voted for him. Well, not half, less than half, because Biden won the popular vote and won the Electoral College. But still, what the fuck, America? What the fuck? Anyway.
And obviously, I wanted a landslide, and initially, coming out of it, I felt like, well, it's not the landslide we want, it's not the landslide that we deserve. But I have had to second guess that, because some people whose political opinion I really respect, indeed crave, have another thing to say about it. So Joe Biden, admittedly did flip several states, and he's going to end up with this 306 electoral college. It's not the 360 that I predicted in my election pool. It's not some sort of 400 massive blowout. But is 306? Is that a landslide? I didn't think so. But Kellyanne Conway said 306 landslide. Historic. Now, to be fair, she said that in 2016 about Trump's win. But I ran the numbers, and the numbers are the same. His 306 win in 2016 is mathematically the same 306 win that Donald Trump lost to Biden in this one. Landslide, blowout, historic, which is going to be my new Twitter bio.
I would change my Twitter bio, but unfortunately, I'm still struggling to get my own music business started, so... yeah.
Donald Trump lost to Biden in this one. Landslide, blowout, historic, which is going to be my new Twitter bio. Landslide, blowout, historic. Weirdly enough, she didn't tweet the same thing this time. Maybe she doesn't want to be repetitive. That's probably what it is. But look, this isn't a tale of just Kellyanne Conway. Donald Trump feels like this thing is still so close that in theory it could be flipped in one of many ways.
Oh God. Just.
Because in 2016.
Oh God.
Because remember,
could be
talking
bad.
about his electoral college score for years. He brings it up at rallies to that we have a lot of awesome quotes about how big of a landslide, blowout, historic it is. Can we get a T-shirt, by the way, that just says landslide, blowout, historic? It doesn't even have to say anything about the election. I think it speaks for itself. But so does Donald Trump. When on January 30th of this year he said, "We had a tremendous landslide, electoral college victory like people haven't seen in a long time. But just wait, you can see it in November."
Oh God.
Or December of last year. "Not only did we win the election, we had an electoral college landslide. Okay? It was a landslide." So to you, Donald, I say, okay, it was a landslide. Blowout. Historic.
Yeah.
"Everyone, you included, knows what is really happening," he said to Pelosi. "The chosen candidate last election in 2016. In an electoral college landslide." And he got the numbers wrong. He got his numbers wrong. He at least gets Hillary's wrong. He can't do the math. "And you and your party have never recovered from this." Are they going to recover from the defeat?
I
Oh my God, Jesus.
mean,
That's so big. In November, dude, seriously, like every 2 weeks he made some sort of commentary about it. "We had an electoral college, as you know, Congressman. We had a landslide, 306 to
just
3. We had a landslide."
seriously though, John, your Trump impression has gotten better. Like, seriously. It's gonna be sad to see it go, but January, the Trump impressions are gonna have to go out the window in a very big way. That's the closest they can get, and it makes me feel sick just trying, so I don't perfect it or anything. I just can't deal with things. It's like, come on. Stop being such a baby, Mr. President, you know? Anyway,
They
continue.
lost an election, and they lost it big.
Oh God, there's more?
From an electoral college standpoint.
Oh
Okay,
God.
I'll read more of these in a second, but I don't even think that 306 is a landslide from an electoral college standpoint. But the thing is, so we have two things to consider.
Okay.
One is the electoral college numbers, which are the same, which means if it's a landslide in one, it has to be a landslide in the other. But that is not the only thing to consider. He was also talking about this being a landslide when he had lost the popular vote by millions of votes. Biden got that same electoral college landslide while winning the popular vote by 5 to 6 and possibly more than 6 million votes, which means double landslide, double blowout, double historic. That's basically what happened there. Okay, I'm going to read more in just a sec, but there were some super chats and I don't want to miss.
I am going to pause real quick to point out the system is rigged so that Republican presidential candidates are more likely to win. No, I'm not even kidding. Just full on clicking here and typing in sorrow because, oh God, sorrow. Yeah, basically, Trump, in order to get the 306, needed to get at least enough votes to reach 3 million less than any Democratic challenger. In order to get the 306, Biden had to win 5 million plus more than Trump. Do you understand that? The system is rigged in Republicans' favor. And that's not counting the Senate. Because, oh gods, the Senate. Oh, and did we mention the 3/5 compromise? It's a nightmare. The entire system is rigged in favor, it's not of Republicans, but of rural, white, racists. Flat out, just rigged in favor. And it's always been that way. Like, they changed the rules on how the Electoral College divvies up electoral votes when they realized that freed African Americans were moving to the cities instead of staying on farms and staying in the country. They changed the rules specifically so the white racists could keep a hold of power. The entire thing is one gigantic power grab. Anyway, that's enough of that. Back to this.
Them. Thank you to everybody who sent them in. Let's see. Emmanuel said you never move. Well, look, thank you, but that's as fast as I can move. He flees from a confrontation with another man much faster than me. Maybe somebody can go and edit it and speed it up and post. Gerald says you're on fire today. I can't wait to see the show. Thank you, Gerald. Very nice of you. I can't wait to do the show. Francesca's always fun. Chakuseki says, hey Chakuseki, the poor boys looked more like Saving Ryan's privates than Saving Private Ryan, especially with their hands-on initiation vids we saw. I did see it. I considered putting it in the show, but I'm actually not going to talk much about that march. The whole thing is just so... It's the same. It's the same as everything they do.
Yeah, instead of Hitler Youth, they've got the Proud Boys. Because the youth of this country is overwhelmingly realizing that this is all bullshit. Like, okay, so I'm not going to say hello, fellow youths, and just wave at you. I'm not. I will admit, I'm 26. I'm almost 30. People think I'm younger than I am because of my family's weird quirk with aging. Our telomeres replenish themselves. For those of you who've watched From the New World, you know what that means. Longer lifespan, regardless of what we do to try to prolong it, regardless of what we do intentionally to try to cut it short, we're less likely to die from suicide attempts because our bodies repair themselves slightly faster. It's a mess. We're more likely to die of sheer brute force accidents than anything else. My morbid sense of humor is based off the fact I know I'm privileged enough to live. And death quite literally has to double check their hourglass every single time they come around. I'm not even joking. So, yeah. On that, I've been around long enough to know where I went wrong. And here's the thing. People younger than me are starting out wiser than me. Most of the youth in this country are lefties. And not just liberals. I mean full-on lefties, Bernie supporter lefties. And I know that. The generation after the voting youth, the 18 to 20 somethings, the next batch of 18 to 25-year-olds, I'm just going to say it, after all of the people who are 18 to 25 this year for this election grow up, if we're not careful, they might wind up being Trump supporters because they were young enough and impressionable enough to be around for the rising tide of fascism instead of an Obama administration. The Obama administration was enough for the 8 years it was around to change the outlook of individuals in favor of the left. Not in favor of people like Obama, mind you, or people like Biden, but in favor of people like AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. But because the last 4 years have seen the rising tide of fascism within the United States, holy fuck. I don't want to imagine what the youth of tomorrow are going to look like. Around here, the younger kids, are literally carving swastikas into bathrooms. They've been doing that for a long time. And older Nazis, for a long time, have been carving contact information for Nazi and KKK affiliated groups here in southern Illinois right next to them to try to recruit the youth. They've been doing it for a long time, and they almost got me. Not with a swastika, but with a Bible study group invite that was carved on a bathroom wall. Not even joking. I was a Christian extremist when I was a kid, and I know that, and I know I screwed up. So, hence why I'm such a lefty now. Try to undo the damage. But good gods, why? Just why? And receive no answer. I do, because I know they don't answer, because all of the good gods are in other worlds, and we're out in the middle of nowhere. That being said, oof. Right. So on the Proud Boys. They can't recruit the actual youth. They can't recruit a vast number of people in the youth of today. Or even in my generation, because a good chunk of my generation woes the fuck up. Wizened up. There we go. Got the right word. And as a result, we learned how to deal with all this bullshit, right? I'm going to go ahead and check the chat because I haven't done that in a while. And my phone's been disengaged from chat for a bit. Okay. Looks like no one's commented. Sad face. Sad gay sounds, who are you? But, yeah. Yeah, we still have a fascism problem, and the youth of tomorrow are probably going to have a streak of fascism within them because of Trump, because fucking assholes like him took the reins of power for 4 years. Because that's all it takes. Anyway.
They're not proud, they're pathetic boys, they're weak boys, they're scared boys, all of them. And it's not just them, it's the rest too. AJ, hello. Thank you for your super chat. Let's see, that might have been all the super chat. Okay, so, really fast. And then it got bigger and bigger and wilder, and then we won by a lot. Don't forget, it was 306-223. That's a lot. Remember. Oh, I do remember. I remember Pepper. Remembers. I remember. It did get bigger and bigger and wilder. Except you lost by a bunch. Millions of people. Literally. Like my hometown, you could have a whole basket full of them. You lost by that much. Biden managed to get the same electoral college. He was even more explicit in July of 2018, saying, he's been talking about this. This was an excuse for the Democrats who lost an election, who actually got their 306-223.
I am going to go ahead and minimize this.
We had a massive landslide victory, as you know, in the electoral college. So, not just a landslide, not just a blow-up, not just historic, a massive landslide. A good shellacking, we're real men. The system was set up to benefit racist whites, and we just sort of slunk past the finish line with one more win where we can't convince the majority of the country to support our agenda that might not even exist. It's basically just tax cuts and racism. Oh, we're amazing. But Biden, no. Oh, no. Super close, super tight. Think about the conservatives, seriously, think about their feelings. Come on, if they win, it means the country is actually right. And all of you goddamn libs and people in the media, you need to pay more attention to conservatives if they win. If they lose, come on, think about them. No, seriously, like, come on, reach out a hand. Come on, conservatives. We're gonna give you power that you didn't earn.
Yeah. That's the America we live in. He's right.
Effectively how budgeting works under Republicans and Democrats. Heads, Republicans win, tails, Democrats lose. That's effectively what's going on. Okay, everybody, there's so much more that I wish I could talk about in this pre-show, but there's no time. But you know what we do have? We have the whole show, actually.
So just a reminder, I am going to put this when I do the YouTube export. I'm going to put the link to the channel and also the video. It is the Damage Report. Check them out. John Adirola and guest hosts always wind up giving great advice. So, with that, I have decided to go ahead and take care of this before I go and watch the main show while I work on mixing and mastering again, because I know I probably screwed it up again. So, I'm actually going to talk about, for my Trans Awareness Week content, I am going to buckle my shoe. Sorry. Let's go ahead and talk about non-binary genders. Alright. Non-binary gender identity is just one term used to describe individuals who may experience a gender identity that is neither exclusively male or female, or is in between, or beyond both genders. Hence my introduction. Non-binary individuals may identify as gender fluid. I'm going to go ahead and just hi. Agender, without gender, third gender, or something else entirely. Sometimes non-binary people are included in the broad category of transgender people. This represents an evolution, as historically being transgender was often conceptualized as requiring a movement between the binary genders. The notion that transgender people have to be moving towards male or female genders has been both particularly strong and particularly problematic in the medical community. What is gender identity? A person's gender identity is their internal sense of themselves as male, female, or other. Cisgender people are those whose gender identity is the same as the sex they were assigned at birth. Conversely, transgender is an umbrella term used to describe the full range of people whose gender identity does not conform to what is typically associated with their sex assigned at birth. Gender identity is different from gender role or gender expression. While gender identity is an internal, deeply rooted sense of self, gender expression is how a person externally expresses their gender identity. It's important to note that gender expression is how they present themselves, and it may or may not correspond to a person's gender identity. Gender role is the collection of behaviors, attitudes, and personalities, traits the society associates with a particular gender in a given culture and a time. The notion that men and women are fundamentally different and should behave in very specific ways is sometimes referred to as gender essentialism. That ties into what is known as the performative theory of transness. It sucks. Don't ever ascribe to it. Or at least I won't. Some people will, but I'm just saying don't. If you want to include non-binary people, you're gonna have to get rid of the idea of performatism and also gender essentialism. I will go ahead and explain my role in that. I present as masculine. My gender expression is masculine. I don't want it to be, but I've got a deeply rooted self-loathing because I live in Southern Illinois. Yeah, like, have you ever looked at an electoral map for just the state of Illinois? If you do, you'll see something. All of the rural areas are red. Like, all of them. There isn't even a blue haven anywhere amongst the rural areas here. It's why the Nazis stuck around. It's why the KKK stuck around. They're still here. We can't get rid of them. They're like rats. Anyway. Because of my deeply rooted self-hatred and my parents constantly telling me that non-binary people don't exist and that I need to marry a woman in order to be able to actually say that I'm married, and my mom saying she probably won't attend my wedding and all that when I do get married, because that will happen eventually. Yeah. That has led me to have some pretty toxic expression problems. And I acknowledge that. Like, I'm a stereotype. I'm a very, very self-loathing gay person. But I'm also a self-loathing NB. Like, my self-loathing is only societal, though. Like, I don't actually hate myself, but the way I express myself is the result of the subconscious hatred that has been building up in the back of my mind my entire 26 and a half years. So, I'm sorry that I don't appear more feminine when I appear in person. That's part of the reason why I wanted to use a VTube avatar, because they could actually be closer to how I actually feel inside, because almost all of me are elves. Yeah. That being said, but also most of me are also non-binary, regardless of what gender they were assigned at birth. Like, Brunhilde was the only one who was female. The first Jeronis was NB Femme. The second Jeronis was NB Mask. The third Jeronis was NB Neutral, so androgynous. But only because they were also possessed by millions and millions of extra-dimensional criminals from multiple worlds. Yeah, that was the weirdest one. Then the fourth one, she was non-binary, but she was a lolly. Like, insert stereotypical moe anime character. Like, she embraced her femininity. Like, whole hog. The fifth me was a non-binary person that was a warforged. Yeah? Like, they didn't even have a physical gender. They were non-binary from birth. The sixth me actually was a female to male transgender person. Femme to mask, to be more accurate. But they were still NB identified. They didn't transition from female to male. They transitioned from feminine to masculine. Like, surgery and everything. Their grandson came out as NB, so grandkid would be the correct word for that. And their grandkid, that specific one, is the one I'm currently playing in a D&D campaign. The version of me here in reality is NB masculine, but I'm actually gender fluid. I can't express gender the way I want because I can't afford to, because makeup and eyeliner is so goddamn expensive, and my parents wouldn't allow it if I was living with them. If I wasn't living with them and they randomly showed up, they would probably just pack up and drive away. Yeah. I'm just... Sorry. Took me a sec. And the zero with me is a digital anthropomorphic construct of the idea of musical unity and harmony. So that would make this VTube avatar either the one before zero or the one at the very end. Like the final product, if you will. Still a work in progress, because I need to figure out how to rig hair. But you get the idea. The me here in the real world, the pilot, all of me, in fact, are NB. Or female. Like, I haven't had an actual male, like, male gendered person, strictly speaking, in any of my incarnations. I guess if I counted the Shade from a Mutants and Masterminds campaign, yeah, he was male. But even then, like, not strictly gender expression set in stone. So, I guess non-binariness has been the part of who I am the entire time. The more you know. Moving on. Gender is also different from sex and sexual orientation. While sex refers to a person's biology, chromosomal, hormonal, and anatomical, gender is a socially, culturally, and environmentally constructed term. Sexual orientation refers to a person's interest in people of the same sex, the opposite sex, both sexes, or neither sex. People of any sex can have any gender identity and sexual orientation. These concepts are independent of one another. So, how that applies to me. I'm attracted to men. Men. Well, and being masculine people. But mostly men. And I'm not just talking biologically male people. I mean also transitioned to male people. It's not the parts I'm attracted to, it's the people. And specifically, it's only men. I'm on the pansexuality spectrum. But since I was assigned male at birth, and I'm attracted to men, it's just easier to say I'm gay. Because people don't need to get into the complicated physics of what relationships would be considered a straight relationship or a gay relationship with me. Talking from a physical perspective, right? Any relationship I have with any person who was assigned male at birth who identifies as a male, because that's the only type of I only like people who identify as male or are NB mask, or any person who's NB mask who is assigned male at birth, right, would be seen as gay, even if hypothetically they leaned more on the feminine aspects of their gender identity. Like, it would just be a relationship. It wouldn't be a gay relationship. It wouldn't be a straight relationship. We're both NB, or I'm NB and they're male. Like, in that particular instance, some parts it would be a gay relationship, some parts it would be a straight relationship. It would just be a relationship. Flat. Like, remove straight and gay from the equation. It's just a relationship with me. Any relationship that I would have with someone who transitioned to male would be exactly the same, right? Like, any relationship that I have is homogender. That doesn't necessarily mean all of my relationships are homosexual. I'm just attracted to men. Flat out. Like, they're homogender and it borders on a little bit with NB masculine people. And I acknowledge all that. Right? But having to explain that, like, a good chunk of the West, even the more liberal parts of the West, don't understand that. Like, pansexuality and bisexuality are still rapidly and rabidly discriminated against by the rest of the community and the rest of the straight world at large. Now imagine all of that, and remember where I live. Yeah, so you kind of get the idea of where I'm at, right? So the gender binary is the problematic notion that there are only two genders, and all individuals are either male or female. Some might argue there are only two sexes, so there should only be two genders, but that argument is flawed. Although we categorize most infants into male or female, there's more diversity than that in terms of both sex and gender. The biology of sex is complex. Most people are XX or XY, but some people are XXY. That winds up appearing as presenting female. Like, that's a gender signifier for someone who is an overly masculine woman or an overly effeminate man, depending on how the hormone processing happens. And normally that would just be determined on the sex characteristics, but when there are three, that's dependent on literally the rest of the genetic structure, meaning gene therapy to deal with cancer, not an option for people with 3 sex chromosomes, because it could seriously mess them up, like bad. Or, and this is another example of the rest of the body having something to do with it, X singular nothing, where there's only one sex chromosome. In addition, your chromosomes don't fully determine your sexual anatomy. Some people are XY women. That has to do with natal hormones, stuff like that. Other people have bodies that fall between male and female chromosomally, anatomically, or hormonally. Therefore, given the wide variety of sexual biology, it should not be surprising that there can be a wide range of gender identity. Cultures around the world have recognized genders other than male and female throughout history. It's just now that we're developing an English language vocabulary to describe the spectrum of gender identity we see. Types of non-binary gender. Agender. Having no specific gender identity, or having a gender identity that is neutral, sometimes used interchangeably with gender neutral, genderless, or neutre. Bigender, having two distinct gender identities or expressions either simultaneously at different times or in different situations. Gender fluid, moving between 2 or more gender identities or expressions. Genderqueer, a catch-all term for individuals with non-binary gender identities. Non-binary, the umbrella term covering all gender identities and expressions outside the gender binary, also referred to as NB. And third gender, having a gender identity or expression that is not defined in terms of the binary options. May be referred to as third sex or other gender. Now, I am gender fluid and gender queer. So specifically, genderqueer incorporates all of these. Like, all of these. Right? Specifically, I'm gender fluid and bigender. I rapidly move between multiple gender identities, including agender. Because sometimes I don't feel like anything at all. It all depends on the moment, right? So, I'm technically rapidly moving between all of this, agender and bigender right here, randomly, at absolutely no control of my own, and it has nothing to do with anything. Like, I have no control over it. It's entirely situational, and I don't know what the fuck is happening. I'm hoping it'll settle down as I get older, but it seems to only be getting worse. Like, moving further and further, and more rapidly around and around in circles. Round and around and around it goes, and where it stops will determine what pronouns I use. No, I'm just going to keep using they, them, because quite frankly, I really don't want to deal with this bullshit. But gender fluid is the easiest way to explain it, right? Because I have multiple gender identities. Like, heck, I even have one third gender version of my consciousness that I don't know how to classify yet. That has happened on a couple of occasions. Like, seriously, like, this has happened. My gender fluidity is so fluid that it could literally be anything at any point. I'm tired of that. Yeah? Have you ever noticed that discussing your sexual orientation means disclosing your gender identity? Sexual orientation words are generally used to draw a comparison between someone's gender identity and the gender of the people they're attracted to. We got into that just a little while ago, yeah? For example, if you're attracted to men and identify as heterosexual, your gender is almost certainly female. However, for those who do not want to disclose their gender identity, there are words for talking about sexual orientation that focus on people someone finds attractive while keeping their own gender out of the discussion. This can be especially helpful for people who are non-binary or gender fluid that want to talk about the people they're attracted to get around the limitations of the words like heterosexual, homosexual, and bisexual. Some people describe their sexual orientation as gynosexual, androsexual, or both. I am androsexual. That is the easiest way to explain it, right? A person who is gynosexual is sexually attracted to women. A person who is androsexual is attracted to men. Based off of Greek prefixes, yeah? There we go. Gender and pronouns. People who are non-binary use many gender-neutral pronouns. Although there are a variety of gender-neutral pronouns, the most commonly used one is the singular they. For people who use gender-neutral pronouns instead of referring to a non-person as he or she, they are referenced as they. It can be difficult for some people to get used to using the singular version of they, but it gets easier with practice. If you think about it, many people already use singular they when they're referring to an abstract person or a person whose gender they don't know. The singular they is used twice in the previous sentence, and most people probably didn't notice. It's not that much harder to use the singular. Here, let me go ahead. Oh, no, I did not want to dock. No. No. Okay, there we go. Now I can see the entire thing. It's not much harder to use the singular they to refer to people whose gender identity is not well described by male or female. It is, however, far more polite than misgendering them because it's easier than respecting their identity. Yeah? So, just referring to us as they, them, regardless of what our pronouns are, is a lot more polite because it's easier. That's it. We're just asking them to do the easiest thing to acknowledge our existence by asking they use they, them. It is the bare minimum they can do. And they don't. Like around here, they, them pronouns, phew! People will immediately just pronoun you based on all of your bullshit. Like how you present, how you act. Unhappy gay sounds, ooey. But anyway, I've been online for 2 hours, and I need to seriously get back to work. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been my first time doing a live vlog, yeah? It's kind of cool, yeah? Anyway, bye! And with that, I am out. Let's go jam out to my own music some more.
chillax. I saw from you here because you were filled with fear. You were scared and tired. Chill and then just relax. The magic of my realm could be used to cause great harm. For you I come here to gather moss that is sent to chill music lullaby because I want you to calm down and not release your rage. It's as cold as mine and I know how bad that can be when your heart's as cold as I see race song. Try to just chill out, child of the cat. If you let your magic loose, it could cause solstice to be ruined. You want some peace? Lay here in my arms. Let tension fall away. Music still lovely, so you should be fine. If that made you and so you're my child too. Even though I don't know what the tide knows, we're one and the same, so release all of your pain. Chillax and rest your head, my child. You'll be okay. Quell all the anger